Today we're going to begin the Ancient India unit. In our first lesson for the Ancient India unit, we are going to cover 7 vocab words that are important for the start of the India unit. Before we begin with the 7 vocab words, let's talk about where we are, where we have been, and where we are going for this unit. So, you start right here in the United States, you cross the Atlantic Ocean. We started the school year in Mesopotamia, or the early humans unit, in between the Tigris and the Euphrates River, the Mesopotamia region, Iraq, Turkey, Lebanon, Syria. Then we went to Egypt on the African continent. Egypt is right here. Next, you are going directly east on the globe to India. India is a subcontinent. If you notice, India kind of jumps down here into the Arabian, the Bay of Bengal, and the Indian Ocean, excuse me. It is a large area that is geographically separated from the rest of the continent. Now, the main mountain range in India, on the northern border of India, is the Himalayas. It is the world's highest mountain range. It forms the northern border of the Indian subcontinent. We'll talk more about these two in the geography lesson for this unit. Let's move on to the 2 most famous religions of India. You have Hinduism. Hinduism is the largest religion of India. Its focus is on the Brahman, the 4 stages of life, karma, and reincarnation. Buddhism is a religion that started in India and later spread to the Far East, China, and Japan. It is based on the teachings of the Buddha. It is centered around the Eightfold Path and the 4 Noble Truths. We will talk about both of these religions one day apiece. We'll spend a day on Hinduism, and we will spend a day on Buddhism as well. We are going to wrap up the vocab lesson for today with 3 additional words. Migrate. Migrate is to move from place to place. We started the early humans unit talking about nomads and groups of 20 or 30 people. This is another term that also means nomads. Migrate is basically when a group moves from place to place, whether it be to look for better weather, better farmland, better food, better lifestyle, whatever it may have been. People had to move from one place to another to seek multiple things. One of the things that they oftentimes try to get away from is a climate condition or a climate catastrophe called a monsoon. It is seasonal wind patterns that cause wet and dry seasons. But that's not the bad thing of a monsoon. A monsoon, what I've always heard a monsoon as, and trust me, I have never experienced it and don't plan on it. A monsoon is a combination of 3 main conditions that we have here in the United States, all put into one. The first one is a drought. The second one is a flood. And the third one, the trifecta, a hurricane. All put into one storm over a span of a month. Imagine all 3 of these happening over a span of a month to 2 months. It is not good. That's one of the main reasons why people on the Indian subcontinent try to migrate, to get away from monsoon and the monsoon season that is known as. The final word that we're going to wrap up with today is the caste system. The caste system is a divided Indian society into groups based on a person's birth, wealth, and job occupation. Like Hinduism and Buddhism, we are going to spend an entire day on the caste system alone. So, let's review before we wrap up today. We have talked about what the caste system is. We talked about the 2 main religions of India, Hinduism and Buddhism. We talked about the word migrate, and that it means very similar things to nomads. And they also try to get away from a monsoon. A monsoon is a dangerous climate condition that people in that part of the world go through. We also talked about what the subcontinent is and why it is a subcontinent. And we've also talked about the Himalayan mountains and what they are as well. This wraps up the vocab for the Indian unit.